Welcome to the F Word Finance, where we talk about finance in a straightforward manner. It's the very first time in our new office here in Stellenbosch, Fransha, and I think you painted the wall yourself, so well done. It looks good. You've obviously heard about the two-pot system in the retirement. You've heard a lot about it, and maybe you still don't quite understand. That's why we've got the wine here. We always find a way to incorporate wine, but hopefully it makes it a little bit more clear about what the two-pot system is and how it's going to work going forward.
Yep.
So, Fransha, what I've done here is the bottle of wine is my vested pot, as they call it. So these are the retirement savings that are already accumulated up until 1 September 2024. Whether it's a retirement annuity, whether it's a pension fund or a provident fund, this is the money you already accumulated sitting in your vested pot. Now, on the 1st of September 2024, 10% of this vested pot is going to go into your emergency savings pot. Okay, so 10% of what you already have accumulated going to that savings pot. You do have access to this, meaning you can withdraw this retirement savings as an emergency. We'll touch about that later, the impact that's going to have. But you have access to it up until a maximum of 30,000 Rand.
Correct.
Okay, so if you had 300,000 Rand already saved, 10% of that 30,000, you do have access to that money.
Yes.
Okay, so this is a once-off, it's a buffer just to start your emergency savings pot. Now this pot is your retirement savings pot. So emergency savings, retirement savings. So from the 1st of September, every month the contribution you make to your retirement annuity or to your pension fund is going to go 1/3 into your emergency savings pot, 2/3 into your retirement savings pot. And every month that's going to continue and continue. Once a year, you can access your emergency savings pot. But this, very important, the retirement savings pot, rules have changed. You cannot touch that at all. Even if you leave your employer, you cannot touch this. And at the end of retirement, then you need to buy either a living annuity or a life annuity with retirement savings pot. So no cash that you can get from this. Well, normally it was like a pension fund, you need to buy 1/3, you can take it to cash, 2/3 you need to buy a life annuity, a living annuity. Now they just split it basically beforehand, before you get to retirement, that you do have access to this. Lastly, before I ask your opinion on the two savings pot, is you can kind of understand why the government is implementing this, because there was people that's really in desperate need of money. They are saving for retirement, but they need bread on the table today, and that's kind of why they implemented this system.
Yeah. So just a quick question. So if I take a sip of this, am I going to pay any taxes on that?
Very important. Yes, there's always consequences when you take your retirement money. So first of all, there might be an admin fee as well. So the company, whether it's Sanlam, Old Mutual, I know Alan Gray actually said they're not taking an admin fee, but it can be as high as 600 Rand for one withdrawal that people don't know. So the norm is 300 Rand. But 600 Rand, so there's an admin fee that needs to be paid, and very importantly, the tax that you're going to be paid. So what percentage of tax are you going to be paid? You take the scale that you are in. You take your annual salary and you look at the tax table, the income tax table, the scale, and you will say you're in the 30% tax bracket. You will pay 30% on what you withdraw here. Very important.
So that'll be on your marginal tax rate then, yes, and not as per the retirement withdrawal tables?
No, that's your marginal tax scale. So if you're in the highest tax bracket, that's 45%, you'll pay, because they add SARS and deem this added as an income for your annual income, so you'll pay 45% tax if you're on the highest tax bracket on this. Very important for people to know. So if you withdraw 10,000 Rand, you're not going to get 10,000 Rand, you're going to get 10,000 Rand minus the admin fee, minus your tax.
Yeah, and here I think, as you said, there are reasons why the government implemented this. Personally, I'm not a huge favorite of this, due to the fact that only 6% of people can retire comfortably at age 65. So for me, all we're doing now is we're just creating a little bit of a bigger problem moving forward. But what are the risks that you see with this two-pot system?
So, to previous point, yes and no. So a lot of people will withdraw from their money. I'm just seeing it, word on the street. If you can, by all means, don't. 100%, this is really only for emergencies. please don't touch it, and hopefully people watching this won't touch it. If you do not want to touch it, you don't have to. You will not be influenced. Both of them will still grow in the markets. They will still be displayed differently when you see your statement. There will be different pots, but please don't touch it if you don't really need to. But yes, like you say, there will be an outflow of investments from day one. But what it does do, the good effect is you can never touch this money. Because what people used to do is they work for years, at the age of 60, now they retire from a provident fund or they leave the company at provident, they take everything into cash. Because that you're allowed to do that. So then they take both pots and drink it.
Yeah.
You know, that was the big, now at least you are forced. This cannot be touched. So I think in the long run, it might actually help people save more. Even if they drink this wine every year, they take this bucket every year, at least they are now forced to say that and like I said previously, they were allowed to touch both when they left the employer.
Yeah. Funny enough, I did a little bit of a calculation this week because I love looking at a little bit of calculations and opportunity cost. But long story short, what I did was I said, all right, what if my average client is 35 years old and that person has 600,000 Rand in their retirement annuity right now? So as you said, 10% to a maximum of 30,000 Rand. So 30,000 Rand will be accessible in that seeding capital. And then the other 570,000 remains invested. Now, what I said was, all right, if that person makes a 6,000 Rand contribution to his or her annuity each month, what would the difference be in the outcome at age 65? So we're looking at 30 years. And what I said was, let's project a 10% yearly growth on that, which is sort of moderate. We're being conservative with that number. But what would you think is the difference between the person that didn't use the 30,000 Rand versus the person that did?
Yeah, over that time of period, massive. Probably 40% difference in what the 30 to 40%.
So there's about 500,000 Rand difference. Just the 30,000 Rand that could have grown for you over that 30-year period. So that's the biggest thing. Just remember that it's not just about now, it's about the future as well. And what the actual cost is for taking that money, even if you don't need it, just taking that money, there's a huge difference in your end result.
Yeah. No, like I said, this is only for emergencies. And this is probably the only time I will say this, or anyone ever said it, but if you did not listen and you didn't understand, that's great, because we don't want you to access it. So that's actually the best result if you do not know what the two-pot system is and you just carry on as per normal and you don't touch your money. 100%. Thank you.
Well, now I'm going to dip into my savings account.
Cheers.
Cheers.